Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel, a channel about real estate, personal finance, and business. I get a lot of inquiries on the listings that I have, and most of the time the buyers inquire on a specific property, and so I kind of have a general idea as to what they are looking for. But in order for me to really be able to help the client, I have created a buyer's guide. So through this guide, which I will be sharing with you today, I will really be able to screen and pre-qualify the client as to what they want, with regards to what they want, the location, their budget, their timeline, because knowing all these things will allow me to help them better so I can present them the properties that really fit what they need. So let me take you into my phone. I created this buyer's guide, which is the entire purchasing process. So from start to finish, you know as the buyer what you can expect. So this is the entire purchasing process from start to finish. The purpose of this is, again, as a broker, I will be able to pre-qualify you, help you better, and also for you as the buyer, the benefit of going through the whole process is so that you will know what you can expect from start to finish. Okay, so the first step is to tell me what you want. So where do you want to live? So that's what you should ask yourself. Where do I want to live? Let's say, okay, the city is Cagayan de Oro, but Cagayan de Oro has a lot of barangays. There are a lot of subdivisions, beautiful subdivisions here in CDO. So do you already have a specific subdivision where you want to live in, or a specific location which is nearer to your office? So you should narrow it down to 2 to 3 neighborhoods of where you want to live or which area you want to invest in. So if you are looking to buy for investment because you want to rent it out, then you will want to check to invest in a location that is accessible, that is near to commercial areas, near to schools, near to shopping centers, so that your renter won't have a problem getting around. And then the next is, what is your preferred size and budget? So let's start with size. So when I say size, I'm referring to the floor area and the lot area. So the lot area is the size of the land or the lot that you want to invest in. So here in the Philippines, we measure it according to square meters. So the general sizes of the lots in subdivisions here are at 120 and up. So usually the 120 is the smallest cut, and then we have at 150, 200, and then it just goes up. So some subdivisions have lot sizes that start at 300 or 400. It really depends on the developer. So in general, the bigger the lot cuts that a subdivision has, the more high-end that subdivision is. So this is if you're looking for a lot, but if you're looking for a house and lot, then you should also consider the size of the house. So that is what we call the floor area. So usually in the uptown area, or even here in the downtown area of Cagayan de Oro, the floor areas of the property will really depend. So if it's a socialized housing project, the floor area, the standard floor area of that is 22 square meters. So it's kind of similar to a condo studio unit. And for low-cost housing, it's about 40 to 60 square meters. Mid-cost, it's about 100 square meters. And then the high-end houses are about 200, 300 square meters and above. So you should also consider, if you're looking for a house, the number of bedrooms, like how many bedrooms would you like to have? What's your minimum number of bedrooms that you will only consider, so that we can eliminate already the houses that do not fit. Like if the bedroom count is, for example, you want at least a 4-bedroom property, then you will no longer be considering the houses that have less than 4 bedrooms, because again, the buying process is a process of elimination. So you're not like a kid in a candy store wherein you just pick and choose and then look around, shop around, check out all the houses. So usually the benefit of going through this buyer's guide is so that you will be able to really narrow down your choices based on what you want. And then next is, you also have to consider, of course, your budget. So what is the maximum budget for the property? And of course, next is financing. So let's say you've already set a budget. Let's say your budget is 5 million. So I'm willing to go up to maximum of 5 million. So the next thing I'll be then asking you is, what is your preferred financing? So will you be doing cash or will you be doing bank financing? So if it's cash, then the process will be more straightforward, because as the buyer, since you'll be paying in cash, you will no longer need to apply for a home loan. But if your preferred financing is bank financing, then I will connect you to 2 or 3 home loan officers that you can speak with regards to the requirements. Of course, I'll also be facilitating the whole process. So don't worry, I'll be there with you step by step to guide you through the whole process. So you will also be checking out between several banks. So I will also be recommending which banks approve the fastest, which banks has the most competitive interest rates. So all that. So for bank financing, the next thing also that I ask my clients is, what is your maximum budget for the down payment? Because the bank or Pag-ibig, if you prefer Pag-ibig, will not be financing the whole amount. So you will need to put up equity, or also known as down payment. So equity is that portion of the total contract price that the bank will not shoulder. So usually the banks for house and lots, they will allow the buyer to loan 80% of the appraised value. So for example, if the property is 10 million, let's say it also is appraised at 10 million, but usually they appraise it lower than the selling price because banks are just more conservative like that. So just for computation purposes. So for example, the appraised value is also 10 million, same as the selling price. So 80% of 10 million is 8 million. So that means the bank will loan you 10 million. So as a buyer, you will then have to put up a down payment or equity of 2 million. So if you prefer bank financing as your mode of payment, then you will still need to prepare cash for the down payment and also the payment of the taxes. So I have a separate video on what you can expect for the tax payment, but generally it's about 10% of the total contract price or the selling price or the zonal value, whichever is higher. And then lastly, what is your target timeline to buy? So we also have pre-selling properties. These are properties that are owned by developers and they are still for construction. So since they are pre-selling, you will have to wait for a specific amount of time before the property will be turned over to you, before you can use the property. So the advantage here of investing in a pre-selling property, if you're not in a hurry, is that you can pay for the equity in installment over a stretched time span. So instead of having to pay like the 2 million equity upfront or the 20% equity upfront, you can pay it in terms. So let's say 12 months to pay, 24 months to pay. Some developers even allow 3 years, 4 years, or even up to 5 years equity payment. It depends on when they need to turn over the project. So if they turn over the project in 4 years, then they will also allow you to pay the equity within that time span. And then also, if you have other preferences, then I will also need you to tell me that so that I can consider that in offering properties to you. So do you have pets? Because for example, if you want to invest in a condo but you have pets, usually pets are not allowed in condos. So you will need to maybe go with a house and lot instead. And then do you need a master bedroom on the first floor because perhaps you have elderly parents living with you, or you yourself, you want your bedroom to be on the first floor because you don't want to be going up and down the stairs? So just let me know in advance so that we can eliminate those houses that don't have master bedrooms on the first floor. Because here in CDO, especially if the house is a 2-story house, most of the master bedrooms are located on the second floor, and usually what's on the first floor is like a maid's room or a small stock room. So this needs to be indicated in the pre-qualification stage. And then, do you need extra yard space? So if you have dogs running around, if you have kids who like playing around, then if extra yard space is a must for you, then you also will need to let me know, because there are some houses that have fully utilized the entire lot area. They only have between 2 to 3 meters setback depending on what's required by the subdivision. So if you need extra yard space, then this is something that we need to consider in checking out the properties available. And also, what extra features do you want the property to to have. So everything that you want, just let me know, because the next step is let's narrow it down. So buying a property is all about the process of elimination. So in this stage, I'll be sending you a list of properties that match some of your requirements. So not all of your requirements, because it's very rare to find the perfect property, but we can try to find the property that will match at least most of your requirements, like maybe 90% of what you want. So don't worry, because I will be here to assist you throughout the whole process. Also, if you find other listings online that are not included in the listings that I sent you, then just feel free to forward the links to me so that we can go over them together, because again, I will be your partner. I will be assisting you throughout the whole buying process, so that we can make sure that you will be able to find the best property for you. So now that you've checked all the properties and you've shortlisted them to about 4-5 properties maybe, it's time for a property tour. So the timeline that I allocate, usually that's the average that we spend with my clients when we go on property tours, is about 30 minutes per house. So it can be shorter or longer, really depending on the client, but it's an average of 30 minutes per property. So after the site visit, if you've picked a property that you would like to make an offer on, the next step is to let me know what property that is so that we can come up with a competitive offer. So once you've found the one, it's showtime for us, because the people in our team are expert negotiators. So I've been doing this for the past 10 years. Truly Wealthy has been around for about 9 years now. So we really know what we are doing. That's why we know that we can really help you come up with the best terms for both you and the seller, of course, because we want this to be a win-win for both parties. Okay, so once you've put in an offer, don't worry, I will guide you through the whole negotiation process, because I will also be computing the taxes that you will need to pay in the property purchase, all the other fees as well. So I have an Excel file on that automatically computes everything, and I mean everything that you need to pay for, like attorney's fees. If you're gonna get a bank loan, then bank fees as well, fee for transfer tax, and all those other fees. So I'll be breaking everything down for you so that you can see the total taxes and fees that you will need to pay for on top of the selling price of the property. So we will take these other taxes and fees in mind when making an offer to the seller. So once we've got everything down and we've come up with a solid offer, then I will be relaying that to the seller. If the seller is okay with your offer, then he will accept it and we will move on to documentation. But if not, he will come up with a counter offer, and then we will go back and forth until both of you have agreed on one offer. So next, if it's a developer listing, if it's a pre-selling property, then there's no need for negotiation, because developers already have a fixed price for the different payment schemes. Of course, if you pay in cash, there's usually a discount of between 5 to 10%. So that's the usual range that developers offer for cash buyers. You can do deferred cash, meaning the total contract price, you break it down within 12 or 24 months. You also have bank financing. So there are different payment schemes that you can choose from, but the advantage of getting a pre-selling property versus a ready for occupancy property, I've mentioned this in my past RFO versus pre-selling video. You might want to check that out as well. So the main difference, one of the main differences, is the financing. So with RFO listings, you will need to have cash in hand to pay for the down payment, or pay for the whole amount if you want to pay in cash. But if it's a pre-selling property, you will only need to pay the reservation fee, and then you can pay for the equity again in installments. So it lessens the exposure for you. But of course, you have to consider that if it's a pre-selling property, you won't be able to use it yet, because the developer will still need to construct the property. So again, it will depend on what you need, when you need to use the property. And then once you've already agreed on a closing price with the seller, so the next step is to sign the contract. So this usually takes, like, once the contract's already prepared, we can just meet at the attorney's office or the bank. Usually contract signing takes about 2 to 3 hours. So it's really very quick. Most of the 2 to 3 hours is like waiting time. There's usually a lot of chica between the buyer and the seller, but if you're really in a hurry, then you can really cut down the time for contract signing. And then last, number 6 of the buying process is property turnover. So as the buyer, you will want to know, when can I move in? So it really depends on your financing. Of course, if you're a cash buyer, once you've paid in cash, the deed of sale has been signed, then the property will already be turned over to you. But if it's via bank financing, if you have already been approved by the bank, the deed of sale has been signed, you've paid the down payment, that's when the property will be turned over. So there's this waiting time for buyers who buy a property via bank financing. There's this waiting time between contract signing or reservation and bank approval. Some of the sellers also want to wait until they are fully paid, but many sellers are okay with a letter of guarantee because the bank will be giving a letter of guarantee, so that even if the title will be transferred to the buyer's name already and they will need to wait for that before they can be fully paid, it's okay because the bank will give a letter of guarantee. So this is a document guaranteeing that the seller will be paid by the bank in full once the transfer title is submitted to the bank. And if it's a developer property, then turnover will be once the project is finished and the loan has been released by the bank as well. Okay, so that's it. Actually, step number 7, the last step, which is not on this list, is housewarming party. So I hope you will invite me to your housewarming party. So now it's time to celebrate. Congratulations, you've already invested in a new property for you. So I hope I was able to help you with the whole buying process. And I actually decided to make this video because I'm currently attending a sales training course by Ryan Serhant. He's one of the leading brokers in New York, and I really admire him. So he also had a different buyer's guide. So I made my own. So this is my own version. It's really the guide that I use, and I just made it into like a PDF file so that it's easier for you, my clients, or whoever actually wants to use this guide. I'm really sharing it with you guys. So I hope I've really been able to help you today through my buyer's guide. If you have any feedback about the guide, or maybe there's something that I can do to improve it even more, then feel free to let me know in the comments below. So again, thank you for watching my video, for spending your time with me. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!